I brought this book called The Cloud Spinner. What a wonderful name, a cloud spinner. It looks like it's going to be a pretty, the illustrations are going to be pretty in this book too. You like the art? Let's find out about the cloud spinner. Here we go. You ready? Okay. Cloud spinner. There was once a boy who could weave cloth out of clouds. He had a spinning wheel and a loom on top of a hill, and as the clouds passed, with a whir of his wheel, he would spin them into thread. Gold in the morning with the rising sun, white in the afternoon, and crimson in the evening, just as his mother had taught him.
That's a happy face.
It looks like it, doesn't it? Isn't that nice? So he's see him way up on top of the house? Can you see him? He's catching clouds, and he's weaving the clouds into thread. Then, with a clickety-clack of his loom, he would weave the thread into cloth. As he worked, he sang a simple tune that his mother had taught him. Enough is enough, and not one stitch more. The boy was wise. He spun just enough thread and wove just enough cloth to make 2 scarves. One of pure white he wore over his head when it was hot to protect him from the sun, and the other he wore when it was cold. It was a twist and a twirl of gold and white and crimson, soft as a mouse's touch and warm as roasted chestnuts. His mother had taught him well. See the top one? He's got the white scarf on made out of clouds, and on the bottom one he's wearing the gold with red, crimson. See the little crimson spots in that one? Yeah. Beautiful. One chilly market day, the boy walked down the hill. A basket was in his hands, and his scarf was around his neck. The market was full of great excitement because the king was on his way. Soon the king rode grandly by, hardly noticing the curtsies and cheers. But what his greedy eyes did notice was the wonderful scarf of gold and white and crimson. He's a big king, isn't he? Pretty fat too, isn't he? Yeah. He's on a big fat horse too, right? Yeah. So what does he see that he likes? The scarf. Tell me, boy, where can I get a scarf of such fine cloth? Nowhere on earth, the boy replied. Then how did you get yours? Snapped the king. I made it, said the boy. Then you will make another for me, a longer one, much longer, for I am the king. But the boy said, it would not be wise to have a long scarf made from this cloth. Your Majesty does not need it. How dare you tell me what is wise, shouted the king. I order you to make me a scarf. Sounds like a mean king too, doesn't it? Yeah. Ooh. See the 2 soldiers standing by the boy? I think I'd be a little scared if I were him. Don't you think so? Yeah. Would you? So the boy went home to the top of the hill, and with a whir of the wheel he began to spin. He spun the clouds as they passed in the morning and were gold with the rising sun. He spun in the afternoon as the clouds sailed past, white as snowdrifts. He spun in the evening when the clouds were crimson. And then, with a clickety-clack of the loom, he wove the thread into a long, long scarf. See him catching the clouds and weaving them? That's pretty cool, isn't it? Would you like to be able to do that? That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. The king was overjoyed. His scarf was soft as a mouse's touch and warm as roasted chestnuts. Now make me a cloak of this glorious cloth, he ordered, and dresses galore for the queen and my daughter the princess. But the boy shook his head. It would not be wise to have so many clothes made from this cloth, your majesty. You do not need them. The king's face was a twist of scowls. I want those clothes, and I order you to make them. So the boy went home to the top of the hill, and with a whir of the wheel, he began to spin.
Look at his cat. It's so fat. A little skinny. Look at his feet. They're so skinny.
Say, tiny, skinny little feet on top of his great big body, huh? Huh.
What did he call that?
You'd think he would, wouldn't he?
I feel
He spun the clouds as they passed in the morning and were gold with the rising sun. He spun in the afternoon as the clouds sailed past, white as snowdrifts. And he spun in the evening when the clouds were crimson. He spun and he spun, and it got harder and harder, for soon there were fewer and fewer, what? Clouds. He's spinning all the clouds out of the sky.
there's only 6 of them left.
Oh my goodness.
6,
At last, with a clickety-clack of the loom, the boy began to weave the thread into cloth beneath a cloudless sky. And as he worked, he sadly sang, "Enough is enough, and not one stitch more." All the clouds are gone, aren't they? He spun them all.
I wouldn't do that much work.
Uh-huh. The king was delighted. He put on the wonderful cloak, and the queen and the princess each put on their beautiful flowing dress. Surely, he boasted, there is no other king as magnificent and wise as me. Not one, said the queen. But the princess said nothing.
Where's the princess?
See her?
There's a fat princess. Look at her puffy dress.
It's pretty, isn't it?
And look at the queen. She's just like.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I like her dress.
But day after day, as they wore their marvelous clothes, not one drop of rain fell from the cloudless sky. Your Majesty, pleaded the villagers, our animals are thirsty and our crops are all dying. There's nothing I can do, shouted the king, walking this way and that, his cloak trailing behind him. Why are you moaning to me? But the princess said nothing. Why is there no rain?
Because they took all the clouds.
Because there's no clouds.
And that's all the queen's fault.
But that evening, the princess quietly slipped out of the palace. She wore a simple dress, and in her arms was a bundle, soft as a mouse's touch and warm as roasted chestnuts, right? She crossed the dry, dusty gardens and the brown fields and beyond, and she climbed to the top of the hill, and stepping forward, she knocked on the boy's door. Is it too late to undo what has been done? The boy smiled.
Where's the
So she understood, didn't she? The princess knew what the problem was. That's the princess. She brought all the clothes back, didn't she? The cloud clothes. The boy smiled and said simply, "There is still time." Ah, look at that. What's happening?
He's throwing the clouds out.
The clouds are coming back out of the clothes into the sky.
There's going to be a lot of work.
When the king awoke the next morning, he could not find his wonderful cloak. The queen could not find her beautiful dresses. They searched the palace for the clothes that the boy had made, but they were gone. While outside, the villagers danced for joy as the rain began to fall from the clouds in the sky. It rained and rained and rained. The king and queen looked out and they wondered. And the princess, with a smile as bright as a rainbow, stood on top of the hill and sang, "Enough is enough, and not one stitch more."
Oh, rainbow. That's his house, and there is the castle.
So did the king save the people? No. Did the queen save the people? No. Who saved them? The princess and the little boy, and there they are. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Did you like the book?